by wisdom, heaven's gates are open. By understanding, you order the season, you arrange the night and the day. This is called Young Ministers Conference. It is for young people who genuinely want to love God and be able to fit into the place of our fathers. As they begin to exit, they should not leave those vacuums. That's why this meeting is put together. Maybe in years to come, when God starts granting us grace and we become older, we will have another session for elderly ministers. But for now, the focus is young ministers. That when our fathers give way, the vacuum should not remain for 10 years. Till today we are asking, where is people like Archbishop Benson in the Hosa? We still are asking. We still are asking. Should we be asking? Here and there are people replicating that grace. But we all know the difference. You've read about him. Go and look for his book, If I Be a Man of God. Read it, you will feel like going on the street. Here and there people replicated it, but they're stepping into it and replicating it in the same order. Not yet. Not yet. There is a particular grace I'm yet to see replicated on earth. It was the grace that Maria Woodworth-Etter carried. The woman will just come and say, praise the Lord. Everybody will be slain. Not few people, not this one that happened. Everybody will be slain, and not just slain, they are all taken into encounters. Trance. She was a woman, and they didn't used to allow women minister those days. She will enter meeting and they will say, okay, you are not preaching, just pray. And that's the big mistakes they've made. As soon as she collects the mic and says Jesus, everybody, plus the one that says she's not preaching. I've not seen that one return yet. I've not seen where everybody in this hall just goes into a trance. You return back and tell me I saw Jesus. One say I saw Apostle Paul. One say I was at the throne room. Everybody returns, and those who are not saved come back crying and asking God for mercy. That one I've not seen it return yet. And it is the desire of God that it is also replicated. If God did it once and he cannot do it again, then there is a problem. It's either he's not God or the men are not available. And of course, the problem cannot be God. It just could be that men have not yielded themselves. I told you the first day, if you claim you are available and people around you are still oppressed, God is still looking for somebody. He is. So it is God's desire that these graces be replicated. All the ones in Bible days, Jesus himself said, you will do greater. You will replicate first. You will do what I did, and you will even go above that. You will replicate it and go beyond it. Are we seeing it yet? Now, how about the apostles? Where the shadow of Peter will heal the sick. You don't have to lay hands. You don't have to call the counselor to go. You just pass. How about that one? Has he returned? Have we been able to replicate that one yet? Then men like Paul, then the early church. We'll examine some of these things in the evening. The desire of God is that these things be replicated. Fanny J. Cross wrote songs that we still sing even after hundreds of years. So we are those that will write songs that will span through generations and time. Somebody writes a song and after 2 months, everybody has forgotten. People wrote songs for more than 100 years we've been singing. Don Moen has been in music ministry for more than 40 years. Every time you play his songs, they are fresh. Question: are we really replicating these things? It affects everybody. The men that built America were elders in church. Are you aware? Go and study it. They were elders, some of them deacons. The men that built America. We celebrate America, the great nation, the world power. You go and find out who built it. The Protestants. Believers in church. So this is not just about pastors. You are a businessman. You better contend. Why should you be a Christian businessman and you are broke? broke for 10 years. Where is the God that raised those billionaires in those days? One time that the Gio was sharing, I listened to him. He went for a program in the 70s in the US, and he was Kenneth Hagin's program. They needed 700,000 US dollars to fix some things in that meeting, and Kenneth E. Hagin was trying to raise that money, and people were just sitting down. A man stood up and said, "Is that how stingy all of you are in this church? Gather whatever you can gather and I will multiply it." All of them became angry. Why is he insulting us? So they started gathering. They gathered 350,000. He sat down there, wrote a check times 2 and dropped and walked out of the church. That the Jew said he ran after him. "I'm a young Nigerian preacher." It's in the 70s. "I'm a young Nigerian preacher. Who are you? Where did you get this kind of money?" And the man told him, "I'm a Christian businessman. I started giving God 10% of my tithe. Now I give God 90. But even the 10 I have is still too much." That the Jew said he brought out everything and gave him. He said, "Lay hands on me. You might not be a pastor, but lay hand on this head." The man laid hand on him. That's how he stepped into it. Christian businessman. I read about one in the book of Bishop David Oyedepo, I believe. A businessman in China. He has mega restaurants. I think 5 major restaurants in the US that can seat more than 1,000 people per time. A multi-billionaire. He has built churches across China. So this thing is not just about pastors. In your sphere of influence, you shouldn't be the least. And people have lived this life before. They have done this thing before. It is our time to replicate that grace. And after replicating it, go above it. Because the Bible tells us that he will give us both the latter and the former rain in the same season. That's what Jesus meant by greater works. That what he did, we will do it, and what was reserved for us, we will also do it. Put together, the latter and the former put together is what we call greater. Don't ever settle for what you are seeing now. No. Don't ever. Don't even fall into that temptation of early satisfaction. It can be destructive, whether in business, whether in ministry. I appreciate God for the little result we've seen here and there, but let me tell you, compared to where God is taking us, we've not started doing